Hello and welcome to the Code World. In previous some videos, we are covering our project that is library management system. In this video, we are going to create our last page, our last page of the project that is returning. This is part 5 of this series and this is the last part of this project. Now we are creating our page named returning.c. In previous videos we have already created index.c, add new.c, issue.c, issued.c, registration.c, and now we are creating returning.c. So here let's start our coding. First of all, in this we will create a file. So just include it by h include studio.h, and again in this we will also create a new page which we have to include in this. So h include and the file name, just let me rename that file return.c. So here we are included our file which named is returned.c. So here we are creating our new page from here and named it returned.c file. Here it is created. From now here we are coding that it will be, if this file is included, then we have to call this file, we have to call this file, or we have to call this file's function from here. So also we have to describe that which return type it will and which argument it will pass. So here we are going to tell that it is an external function which is created in another file, and this is a void type and name is return, and it will take argument take argument of pointer type. So here we are creating a ptr of pointer type. Now from here our main logic will be created. Before that we should understand that what will be our logic. So here I am trying to explain that this is our page, sorry, this is our file which named is student record.txt, and another file which named is book issued to bookissued2.txt. These are two files. In this file, in the first file, here in this file our detail of each and every student is recorded. That is, if he is a student of that college or that institute, then he is eligible for returning book and issuing book. And this is the file which contain that which book he have already issued. So in this, in our returning page, we should first check that he must be a person who is belong to that institute, or in simple word we can say that he must be a student of that institute so that he can issue and return his book. So first of all we will check that he is a student of that institute or not. If he is student of that institute, then we check that he have already issued any book or not. If he is not a student of that college, then he will not allowed to return the book. And if he do not have any book issued, then he is not eligible for returning book. So now we are starting from this portion, that uh, our student must be a member of that institute, and then he have some book issued from that library. So let's start. I'm closing this, and from here we have need of some variables, which is character type char, and word, in which we are storing our ERP ID of that student to compare with the file, and str to compare file, and one temporary variable of pointer type, and let some more variable for illustrating, that is for loop. And now we are creating a file type pointer to open a file. Let fp, and now print f that enter erp of student, and it will be going to store in scanf. This is a integer type, so we are storing it in, sorry, this is not integer type, it will be our this this will store in word. So let's start gets and store it in word. From here it will read our value, that is of ERP ID, and store it in word. And now we are creating our file pointer and assign f open value to that of, first of all we have to check that this he is a member of that institute or not. So we are firstly check that it must be a member of a student record.txt, that is its ERP ID must be contained in student record.txt, student record.txt, and we are opening this in read mode so that we can read the file which is stored in this file. Now we are assigning the value of 0 in I, and starting a do loop, sorry, here do oh, here do loop, and from here we are assigning one by one value which are readed from this file, and assign one by one to ch variable. So we are getting f get c, it will assign character type value from that which is stored, which is opened in fp. So it will assign one by one value to ch till, sorry, means while the value of get character, so that the value of string, sorry, str, our str of position I, str of position I not equal to null, that is not equal to null. Now this is only reading the value of student record and assign one by one to ch, but ch is a single character value, so it cannot store the whole concept, the whole value in this. So we are storing this in str of position I, and it will assign the value of ch. And we will increment the value of I so that next character will assign to next position. This is a array, so it will assign the value from here, that is from I position, that is from 0th position to till when our file is not getting a backslash n value, that is of enter value. Now our value is successfully stored in str, and sorry, this str represent all the value which is stored in student record.txt. Its value will copy in str. Now we have to check that this word, that is our ERP ID, is contained in str or not. If contained, it means the ERP ID is, this ERP ID is member of that institute. Otherwise it will not a member of that institute. So let's check from that. Let's create a temp and store str and compare, sorry, str and compare the value of string, that is stored in a string and word. Now here the value of temp will be that position value where the word, that is our ERP ID, is found in a string. If not found, then temp value will be null. So now check that if temp value will be null. If the temp value is null, it means our ERP ID is not found. In other word, we can say that temp value not equal to null. It means our ERP value is found. So we can simply say that you are eligible for returning book. For returning, you are eligible for returning book, and here we will call a function whose name is returned and pass the value of ERP ID. We will pass the value of ERP ID so that we can check that our ERP value is stored in the that condition, that is our ERP ID is stored in that text file, that is a student, sorry, our file name is book issued to. So our ERP ID is stored in book issued to or not. So to check that, we are passing the value of word, that is the value of ERP ID from here. And else, in else condition, we can say that if the value of temp is null, then you are not eligible for returning book. You are not eligible to returning book. That's it. From here we will print a value that you are not eligible for returning book. And one more thing, that we have to close our FP, our file pointer, and save it. Now we are creating a file, sorry, we are creating a function that is returned, and we are calling from here. So we must have a function whose name is returned, but till now we don't have any function whose name is returned. So just create it, because this is of extern, so it will create in another file, and here this file is included in our returning.c. From this line, sorry, what is happening, from this line we have already included this file, so we can create our function here. So just now create it. In this file we will also use our file pointer, so we have to include our studio.h to use the file, and this is of extern type, and returning type is void, and the function name returned, and it is receiving the value of pointer, sorry, it will receive the value of word and store in ptr. Now our main code will be here. So first we are creating some variables of l, I, j and id. This all are in integer type, and this is our character type erp of tail length, and str to compare the value of erp, that is it is stored in that only or not, and some more word, it will store the value of erp id, and one temporary variable of pointer type to compare that it is stored in our function in our file or not, and some more thing ch1 and ch. Now let's start. First of all, we are creating a file type pointer of fp, and now we are copy the value of erp, sorry, copy the value which is passed from the previous page and stored in ptr to a new variable, let's say erp, sorry, strcpy. It will copy the value of ptr in erp. From this line, erp id will contain the value of ptr which is called from the calling function, and now we are also storing the value of length, the value of length of erp id. What is the value of erp id? And its length will be stored in l. And now we are creating our fp and fopen, the file whose name is book issued to. Book issued to.txt in read mode, so that we can check that our value of erp id and the value of book id is stored in book issued to or not. So here we are starting a loop and get a character and assign the value of get character which is stored, which is opened in fp in character till end of file, and print that. From here the value of, sorry, printf, this is of character type, so we are storing character type and stored in ch. From this line the whole value of book issued to will store in ch, and it will print character by character. The work of this file pointer is end, so close it, close the value of file pointer. This is our done. Book issued to .txt value will print on our console from these three lines, and now we are inputting our book id from user, so we are printing a message printf enter book id, and here we are enter book id and store it in id. So scanf is this is a integer type variable, so we are assigning here %d and store the value of book id in id. From here we will again need a file pointer to check and to store the value of book id. So let's create a file pointer. Here we are again fp1, so that we can open fp1. Again we are opening this line, so just copy it and paste here. Again we are opening the value of book issued to.txt and store it in fp1. From here we are we have to use one function to convert the value of book id, which is of integer type. This is a integer type value and our file will return the value of character type. So we have to convert the value of id in character type so that we can compare that. So here we are converting this the value of id and store the converted value in word, which is of decimal type. So here we are assigning the value of j equal to 0 so that we can iterate the loop, and ch1 will assign the value of get character, which is open in fp1, and one by one it will store in ch1. And again we are storing the value of ch1 in string strj position, which is stored in ch1. And again we will increment the value of j, while it will store the value while the str position jth position is not equal to \n. From here the value of this text file will store in str. Now we will compare that our book id is present in this file or not. This file's value is copied in str and our book id is temporarily stored in word. So we will check that the value of word is contained in str or not. So let's check. From here we will again store the compare value in temp and store that str and compare the value of str, store the value of word or not. If the value of word, that is erp id, is found in this string, then it will return the address of that position where the value of erp id is present. Otherwise it will return the value null, that is temp value will be null if no erp id is found in that position. Sorry, no book id is found in that file. So here we will check that if the value of temp not equal to null, it means the value is found. If the value of this is not null, then print book is written. Book is returned. Otherwise we will print that book id is not present. not present in this student this student's ERP. That is the if the book ID is not found, then this book is not issued to that person. If that is not issued, then it will not be returned. And from here we will end our loop. So here we are closing our file fclose and fclose the value of fp1. If we want that our value will our data will return and run again by again, that is if the person whose ERP ID is found have more than one book in his ERP, then he can return that one by one. So we will illustrate it by do loop. We are assigning here do loop while it will assign, we will create it, we will run it while the value of book ID, that is the value of ID, is not equal to 0. If he if a person if a person pass the value of book ID as 0, it means he is not, he don't want to return his book, and our program will our program execution will be done. But if the value of id is not null, so it will run again and again, and here we will print that printf. do you want to do you want to return more value, more book or more book? If yes, then enter the book ID, otherwise enter 0. Okay, so from here we are we are changing our line, and now the value of the value is stored, or it will received in one variable which is in id. So we will scanf the value and store in integer type variable of id. So from here our execution will run till the value of ERP ID is not 0. So now let's run the function, run this. First of all, we have to execute this here, build it. There is one error, include h include studio.h. What is the error? Our error is that this one, and again compile it. What is the error again? Sorry, spelling mistake. I have stdio at studio.h and again run it. Here we are again find book issued to. What is the error here? Here we are forgetting to, this is a pointer type, and again start execution this. Yes, now here is no error, and execute this one also. stdio studio.h and again run it. Now what is start execution? This is executed successfully. From here we will run the program. First of all, we will input that we are returning book, so input 3. And what is the ERP ID? Let's check what is our ERP ID. Just check it from here. Here the ERP ID is MBA, this one, and BTech. So just check that MCA 23456. MCA 23456 and enter. Book ID is not present. This is running again and again. So we are mistaking something. Just cut it and let's check what is the error. Let me, I have forget to see that what is our error. So here we are assigning MCA and 23456. Oh, here this is the error. Enter ERP ID of a student, and we are not getting any option to enter the ERP ID. That is the error. So here we have to do something from here. Let's variable bug of any length, let's say 2 length, and here get character, sorry, gets and store in bug. Now let's see what is our output. Now compile it and run from here. Let's check what is now. Here MCA 23456. Yes, enter the ERP ID. You are eligible for returning book. Enter the book ID. Now what is our book ID? So here we can see that our book ID is, we can check our book ID and let's check our book ID. Here we have some book ID 11452. So 11452. Book ID is not present in this student's ERP. Oh, there is something error. Let's check what we are missing. From here there must be no error, but from here this is executed successfully because it is printing that you are eligible for returning book. So from here there must be some error and we have to find that. First of all, we are printing this. Here we are printing the whole value of this, but it is not printing. Here must be one error. Let me check the value. First of all, here the name is student record, not this one, not, and this is book issued to. Yeah, here double D. Here this is double D. We have to put one more D here, double D, and now let's try to execute and run from here. Let's check the value, returning 3 and ERP ID is BTech 22444. Yes, now it is running. You are eligible for returning book and here your ERP ID. Let's check this ERP ID 78765. Yes, book is returned. Do you want to return other book? Yes, let's check that any other book ID which is not present in this 1 2 3 4 5 6, this and book ID is not present in this student's ERP. Do you want to return more books? Let's input one more like 1145 and 2. This is, yes, book is returned. And now if we press 0, it will return to home page, and again we are pressing 0 to end our program. Thank you. If you like this video, please like, subscribe and comment on my channel.